Hello and welcome to the Digital Juice Bar, the only podcast that already knows the smell of the game. I'm Hoodley.
And I'm KnightmareAlpha, and I know where this reference is coming from, and I love it.
I know. This song's really fun to listen to.
That's a good song.
I can't wait for the new album. And you hear it comes with a free game?
Yes.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm not sure what comes first, the music or the game.
I think they just make a whole bunch of drawings, and then they make a bunch of music, and then they find a way to put all of it in a game, and they're just like, okay, here's the game. Let's do more stupid things and have fun.
I mean, the guy who makes the music is also the main story writer and the main character designer, so
I like him. What's his name? Daisuke
Ishiwara. He's a nice guy. He's a real nice guy.
He seems neat.
Yeah.
Also, apparently it is not him actually singing that song. It's some other guy. He wrote it and he composed the music, but he's not the one singing.
That's true, because I know how he sounds when he's actually singing. He had a few actually appearances back in the day. And while he doesn't have a bad voice at all, it's not necessarily what you would, use for that kind of style of music.
Yeah. Does he sound kind of like a country person?
Kind of.
That's weird.
But hey, he voiced his own character for a long time in the game. And you could, in some games, even switch.
Was he the voice of Soul?
He was the voice of Soul.
Soru badu guy. I love that guy. I love Soul. He's so stupid. He's so cool.
He's a very interesting kind of character, so to speak. I mean, you have a character who understands more than just a little bit of the hardship of this world, what it all makes it, and he truly understands it because he has lived for so long and seen the good things, the bad things, and he makes himself the bad guy more or less in most cases because he doesn't like this kind of authority around him.
And he's a huge Queen fan.
That's also true, but aren't we all huge Queen fans?
I mean, unless you're a terrible person.
I don't consider myself a terrible person, but judgment on that is always still pending.
Yeah. I'm just going to say this now. Guilty Gear is the best 2D fighting game series today.
That's probably the case.
He's get out of here with your Mortal Kombats and your DBZ fighters GBZ fighter. I'm not entirely sure what the name is, and I really don't care to look it up. Get out of here with everything else. Blaze Blue, terrible, awful, horrible, just ridiculous story. I know it's also made by ArcSys, but Guilty Gear is better. Okay, Guilty Gear, it knows what it is. It knows it's ridiculous. It goes all in on that. It's fun. It's way better. And also, Soul could easily beat up anyone in Guilty Gear.
I think he does that. That's what his job is. I mean,
go play Guilty Gear.
Yeah, do yourself a favor.
We're just gonna leave this thread on that. Just go play Guilty Gear.
Yeah, play the first one and enjoy the horror that is Justice.
That thing is weird.
Oh, I like Justice. I have a very weird love-hate relationship with her.
Is it even a girl anymore?
Yes, it is a girl. Oh,
with a blue robo penis.
With a blue robo penis.
That man is weird. Not even evil, really.
He has some interesting ideas about the world.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, just go play Guilty Gear. Pretty much any of them. Just go play it. It's awesome.
Yep. Okay, so
what if as usual, I know it's been quite a while since the previous episode. We were gonna do this after I finished at least a new main video, but I'm lazy, so that's still taking a while. On the bright side, it's halfway cut together, So it might not be too long now. So why do I always make my videos like 20 minutes long? It just makes my job harder. Job. More like hobby.
Still, I'm not sure. You could make this a job.
I don't know. I mean, if I do get around to just talking about a bunch of old weird martial arts movies, just like random ones I find in the really cheap public domain collector or collections, that'd be pretty neat. If I could do that for a living, that'd be pretty funny.
Sure. Why not? We need to learn all about the masters of martial arts and also the ones who didn't master it.
Yeah. And I need to tell everyone that Street Fighter starring Sonny Chiba is awesome. But that's for another time.
Good.
I forgot what we were talking about, actually. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry for taking a while. Just stuff came up and I didn't get around to finishing that one video, but we're gonna try our best to get some, at least make this somewhat kind of consistent, maybe, if we can be bothered. I don't know.
We will force ourselves to do that.
What have you been up to the last few weeks since we recorded?
I finished God of War.
Okay, which one?
The new one. The old ones I already had finished.
I hate when people do that. They make a reboot but name it the exact same as the first game, like Tomb Raider or Mortal Kombat.
It is a blight on our society. But what can you do? They seemingly hate numbers at the end of it. Maybe they are afraid that the thing that kind of was happening in the 90s with Final Fantasy was a thing. A lot of people said, how can a series have like 7 to 9 entries and not be considered bad?
I mean, 2 kind of sucks. Okay, yeah, 2 sucks a lot. But I mean, at least we know they aren't afraid of cliche words starting with re, such as revelation and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the word origin. I'm looking at you, Assassin's Creed. You unoriginal hackneyed crap.
It's so weird with Assassin's Creed. I was once telling the people that it's a great series, but somewhere
can't tell them that anymore.
I can't really do that anymore. Like, I lost touch with that series so much. I think the last one I was playing was Brotherhood, and I was like, huh, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore.
I hear Black Flag is pretty good, mostly because it's not really Assassin's Creed.
I mean, it's not that I'm not interested in what's going on. It's just that they are not really interested in doing anything with the series. I think.
They're interested in doing one thing: milking the customer and wasting their time.
That's true, but they could do something.
Everyone listening who might be a fan of Assassin's Creed, the series kind of sucks a fat one now. So I really don't care what you think of the series. It's horribly managed, and I frankly hate it. So
I'm kind of annoyed by the fact that especially the last 2 ones had really great settings but didn't do anything good with it. Like, come on, you have ancient Greece and you have ancient Egypt, and you do this with them.
Didn't they say in the ancient Egypt one that like ancient people made the hidden blade?
I don't want to think about that.
I think someone did, and when I heard that, I was like, wait, if they didn't make it, then this isn't an origin of the Assassin's Order. It's a continuation.
At this point, I have no idea what this...
Discovery. It's like, so, oh, I found this thing from ancient people, and I'm just like, you are ancient people. But anyway, we're not going to bag on Assassin's Creed. We can do that some other time, and that'll probably be an entire subject on its own. So what did you think of Beard of War? Beard of Dad? What did you think of Beard of Dad?
Boy. I liked it. I really liked it. It is a very enjoyable and interesting route to take the games. Definitely better than every of its predecessor, I'm going to say that. Like, wow, the introspection on the characters here is so hard, and I love it.
Boy.
I want to say also something that kind of concerns me. Kratos is a bit like my dad.
It's the beard, isn't it?
No, it's the behavior.
I mean, I think that was the point. They were trying to make him Joel from The Last of Us, or
no, not in that
from
kind
The Evil Within. He's the grumpy, hairy dad, except now he has an axe.
See, that's the difference. You don't understand this directly, but I think the especially version of Kratos that they want to present is kind of a toxic parent to a certain degree, because he keeps too many secrets, because he isn't very clear with his son. He wants to connect them, but he's only pushing him away until the midpoint of the game, where he finally lets things go that have been untold go free, and says, like, no, there's a good reason we don't do this. There's a good reason for all of the actions I have taken, because I already did this before and it did me no good. It did only destroy the world. I want to know how he got married
again. Because, like, how did anyone even want to marry him? Like, no offense, but Kratos is he's kind of a big jerk.
See, this is
just putting it lightly.
This is a wonderful thing. I think, especially when you see Kratos, how he behaves in that game, you can actually get a feeling why somebody would do that. Because Kratos has an inherent love for the people around him. He just has no effective way of expressing it. He really is deeply and emotionally solid character. He wants to do the things for the right reasons. The problem is just that he has no way of really telling everybody around them how to do that. That's the reason why he has a problem connecting with his own son. There's this scene where he's like reaching his hand out to his son as if he wants to approvingly say, like, I love you, but he just can't. He stops himself because he's kind of troubled by both his upbringing and his own personality. It just keeps him down all the time. But then he lets go of it. Then he is truly considering his son as an equal. Then he's not having any secrets. It seems like they have genuinely fun. Like they are connected. You can see that. And this is something that I think is missing. You want to have a reason why Kratos would be married by somebody? This is the reason. There's a good guy buried in it. Just have to find it.
Underneath the ashes of the family that he killed.
Yes, and he will never take
his own fault. Like, I'm just gonna say it right now. That was his own fault.
True. That's true. He is on this rage track just because he killed his own family and couldn't accept that.
Like, he should have known. Like, pretty much every Greek legend that involves someone messing with a god always ends horribly. Like, he should know.
I mean,
especially since, you know, if he killed all of them, there wouldn't be any more. So everything horrible that happened, all the terrible myths, he should know that that's not a good idea. He brought that on himself.
Yes, he did. But the interesting
thing that's why I kind of hate him, and that's by extension the games.
I think this is really the point. I mean, they wanted to go for the whole Greek tragedy thing, where they're like, yeah,
Norse tragedy.
No. In the original one, they wanted to do, you know, a Greek tragedy thing. And that's important because Greek tragedies build themselves up to the point where technically the main characters can't deal with it anymore. They just need the divine intervention to fix it. But the problem is, if you killed all the gods, there is no god, there's no divine intervention to fix the whole problem. You know?
I just thought of something.
Yes.
Okay, so in the third game, he becomes the biggest jerk possible and kills all of the major gods that rule over the nature of the world.
Yeah.
But if the Norse gods exist, does that mean that all of the things that were happening, like, you know, all the huge tidal waves and just messing with the very order of nature itself, only affected the area he was in?
It's potentially the case. I mean, if we assume
then there was no reason to do that. Like, just really, dude? Like, that wasn't even a big deal. Like, he potentially put the world at risk, but just like the other gods exist.
But that doesn't change the fact that the area that he comes from is potentially
ruined. That was worded incorrectly.
That still is the end, and I think actually this is one of the reasons why why he actually came to these lands in the first place. He destroyed the world functionally, but he survived the process only to see how the people had to deal with his actions, and he couldn't take it. He couldn't
and also
make amends
because
for it.
they wanted to make money.
That's also
But that's
the case.
beside the point.
Yeah, but that's really, for me, it's not important why he came there. For me, it's important what happens there and how it is operated, and I think it does many things very right.
I still thought it was just kind of okay. I'm not really a big fan of God of War in general. I tried playing it. I thought it was fine.
Hey, I think there's something good.
I mean, it was good. I did
to it.
think it was good. I just I don't think it was 10 out of 10. It was good, but just not really my thing.
That's okay.
Glad you liked it though.
Yes. I did not waste my time with it, I think.
It's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I think is important for a game is that you feel like your time shouldn't be wasted. Like if you're doing something, like you're playing a game, it can't be like Assassin's Creed full circle sort of. I don't know. You can't make it like Assassin's Creed where everything is just repetitively, copy pasted and just unnecessary RPG elements to grind out more and more time. You can't do it like that. So, good on God of War for just making a game. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Also, I think Kratos' voice actor did a good job.
I mean, I like Christopher Judge before that, but
Yeah, but since he's not shouting 99% of the time now, I think it's better.
He wasn't previously voiced by Christopher Judge. That's the point.
I don't remember who his voice actor is. I
don't remember either, but there is a difference. There is a very clear difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what have you up to?
I forgot. Let me just look.
What? you forgot what you did?
It's been a while. College started back up, unfortunately. I need to remember what the heck I was doing because I have very terrible memory.
Okay.
What have I been doing? I legitimately cannot remember.
That is weird.
Not kidding. I am actually. I'm trying to think of what I've been doing that isn't stupid college stuff, and I'm drawing a blank here.
Maybe go and look at your Twitter history.
I mean, that wouldn't really help because I don't tweet a lot, so.
I don't know. I've seen you tweet a lot of things.
I mean, it's just I've been doing bits and pieces of things here and there, but nothing that really defined what I've been doing for the past couple weeks. I played a bit of Neo, I played a bit of BioShock, I played Piku Niku. That was actually pretty funny. What else have I been doing? I played a bit of Horizon. I watched one of the old martial arts movies in my collection. Really, it's just a bunch of random stuff that doesn't have any cohesive thing that I've really been up to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I can't really think of it. I'm trying to think of one. That's unfortunate. I could talk about 18 Fatal Strikes, but I want to make a video on that. But it's probably going to be a hot minute until I do. So,
does it actually contain 18 vital strikes?
I think maybe 7 people were killed. So technically not, but it's a reference to the Lohan fist, and I think it has 18 like either stances or secret techniques or something. It was made in 1979, man. I think they just made up that title.
It's possible.
Yeah. I mean, because like other than that, I can't really think of anything that I've really been up to majorly. Either that or I'm just completely forgetting.
Well,
which is entirely possible.
Well, if that's the case, then just let's move on and see what happens next.
I will say this, though. 18 Fatal Strikes has quite possibly the most abrupt tonal shift and also the most abrupt drop in enjoyment, the most abrupt ending to anything ever.
It's a very abrupt movie, apparently.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes long, so it doesn't ask much for your time.
Could it be that you accidentally got a cut version?
No, I weirdly enough, since it's public domain, so you can watch it on YouTube. It's pretty much the exact same thing. You know, screw it. I'm just going to talk about 18 Fatal Strikes because it's probably going to be a while until I actually get around to reviewing it. So 18 Fatal Strikes, I'm going to look up the year it was made. I think it was 1979. Yep. Here we go. 18 Fatal Strikes, which is apparently rated 5 out of 5 on eBay.
I mean, so that doesn't mean anything.
I know, but it just that's what's showing up. So this is on a collection of 12 movies, martial arts movies by Mill Creek Entertainment. I like collecting these just like random collections of just like weird martial arts movies. 18 Fatal Strikes was apparently made in 1980, even though I thought for sure it was 1979. That's weird. No, that can't be right. I thought for sure it was.
How can it be public domain? I thought the rule was 50 years at that point.
China. I don't know. Lots of movies are public domain that were made around that time. So really, it's not.
It could be that weird.
Okay. Also says that it's 19, but this one says it's 1983. What is this? What is going on?
Maybe you need to research the release frame a little bit more. Could be an interesting point.
These things are all over the place. It was uploaded on YouTube on September 19th, 2019, so I know that much at least.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us.
Okay, I think I might know a way that I can okay. I'm just going to look it up on Wikipedia. That's the best I can do.
I don't know if it's on there, but okay.
Oh, he was also in Drunken Master, one of the main stars. That's strange. It should be showing up somewhere. Where'd it go? It was here.
Removed for being not relevant.
Oh.
The pain
okay,
of
now it
Wikipedia.
says that it's from 1978. This is confusing. Okay, whatever. So 18 Fatal Strikes is a movie from released sometime between 1978 and 1983. It's about like a monk named, I think his name is Wong Hung, something like that. He's a monk, and he is fighting against the evil Manchurian, I think that's what it is, Manchurian dictator or something like that, Wong Wu-Ti, who has just the worst dubbing and sound effects ever to accompany him. Seriously, if he's on screen, mute your TV. It's weird. It mainly just because it starts out as like this generally decent martial arts comedy movie, because you know Wong Hung is taken in by a pair of somewhat stupid brothers. One of them is played by Dean Sheck, and the other one is played by... I'm just gonna look it up real quick. I know at least IMDb. Sure. Wait a second. Jingshin Yang? That's not right. Oh, whatever.
The details are muddled.
Yeah, so it stars Dean Shek and Wei Tong as the brothers Sao Tung and Tai Pan, and but they have very few names for people's roles in this movie. This is why I like these old movies. I know basically nothing about them, and it's really hard to find information on them. So it starts out as a generally lighthearted action kung fu kind of dealio, and these two brothers, they're just they save Wong Hung, and then he teaches them some martial arts just for reasons, and they kind of have plans to hopefully defend their little town from some of Wong Wu-Ti's henchmen, as well as just some like scumbags around town, while also both vying for, I think her name is Shing, I something like that. I don't know. There are no subtitles, and the audio is very low quality, just because it's a really old random martial arts movie. And you know what? At first, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I thought it had some funny jokes. And it had a couple okay fight scenes, but then for some reason, at like the halfway point, or at least somewhere around the halfway point, the footage completely cuts out for a few seconds, and the screen is just black, like nothing is on screen.
Okay.
And then it comes back at the end of a fight scene, and then suddenly it's like a completely different movie with the same characters, because some girl that I don't remember being introduced before in the movie gets stabbed after potentially being sexually assaulted. I'm not entirely sure what happened. So she dies, and then Tai Pen takes her body back to, his brother and Wong Hung at their little hut thing, and they bury her, and Tai Pen gets seriously pissed off and is like, I'm gonna kill Wong Wu-Ti, and just like wrecks all their stuff. And it's the whoever dubbed him over actually did a surprisingly decent job. The thing is, it is so jarring to what's been going on in the movie so far. And what happens next? What does
To be
happen
honest,
next?
this sounds like one of these weird things.
It's a weird thing. It is a very weird thing.
I mean,
so after that happens, I think the other, I can't remember what his name is. He's Sao. I'm not an expert at Mandarin or Cantonese. I can never tell. I'm just doing my best here. And he goes to do like the best fight scene in the whole movie. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually a really great fight scene because Tai Pen just kind of collapsed. What?
Are letters involved?
Is that a reference to Once Upon a Time in China?
No, I just wanted to know if they have a ladder fight scene. I like ladder fight scenes.
Then go watch Once Upon a Time in China. That was crazy. And it was so good. But anyway, no, it does not involve ladders. It's got like spears that for some reason all sound like metal despite being wood. So that was weird. And then some stupid scene involving peanuts. Just making sure that's clear in the microphone in case you heard something else.
Multiples of nuts of the pea kind.
That sounded even worse.
That's a point.
But anyway, then Wong Wu-Ti and his men storm the brothers' place because they heard Wong Hung is there. They light it on fire. Tai Pen dies because he got shot with 2 arrows and then got caught in the fire, while the other 2 hid in the well. And then they do like a short scene to be like Shang is actually Wong Hung's niece, which they never mentioned before. It doesn't really matter. And then they have a final fight scene, which is just a gigantic mess. And Wong Wu-Ti, for some reason, they keep doing this repeated, like almost like rattlesnake thing, but like it's metallic. And due to the low quality of the audio, it's very grating. So the final fight's just a complete mess, and then he loses because he stepped on a spike, and Up until that point, basically he was invincible. And then he stepped on a spike and makes it much easier for our hero to win the day. And you know how he wins?
How?
He wraps his leg around the guy's neck to try and choke him out. Then he hits Wong Wu-Ti on the head a few times. Wong Wu-Ti dies, and less than a second later, it cuts to a red screen with black letters saying "The End," and then it just puts me back at the menu of the DVD, and then puts me onto the play all select option menu thing for, I'm not even sure what it was called, 5 something. I'll watch that later today, maybe. So I just like sat there. I was so confused. Like, what just happened? Was that supposed to happen?
Okay, I think I know what this is. You actually maybe by accident watched 2 movies at the same time, because there was a, I think, American producer who bought Chinese movies and kitted them together if they had the same actors, and sold these as double features from time to time on multiple times.
No, I don't know if that's the case, because if they were the same actors, I can understand. But it's like they're wearing the exact same costumes. Okay. It's the exact same weird kind of thing. That might actually explain. No, that doesn't. Because like there's this one thing going on where like it's a full screen, so it's like 4:3 or whatever the full screen aspect ratio is, and a lot of things are cut off. Like people are looking at people who are out of the shot, and it cuts off people's faces who are, trying to talk. It's just like, it's very weird presentation, and it actually bothered me a lot. But then there are some things that are supposed to be centered, which makes me think either they changed the aspect ratio from widescreen to full screen, and that's why things are getting cut off. But sometimes it also seems like they just lopped off a large part of like the left side of the screen. Other times it feels like like the right part of the screen had a big chunk lopped off. But some shots are centered, and some of them like look like they're. The presentation is really weird, but it's the only copy of the movie that I can find. I mean, seems unless like the version I watched is a completely separate version.
It could be also
the other like 4 releases the movie had, apparently.
It could be that the original material was damaged, and that they had to cobble together it in a way that they had this. This would explain, for example, the black screen you had for a part, and the missing scene that seemingly happened in between. That the material was too much damaged, and they wanted to cut it together in a somewhat cohesive way, but couldn't.
I kind of want to think that like when they were filming that fight scene, or sometime after they did that, someone higher up at the studio said that they wanted to make it more. Excuse me, they wanted to make it more serious. So they were basically just like, okay, let's do a pretty basic revenge story instead of 2 idiot brothers teaming up with a monk to take down a dictator in a way that actually feels like they earned the victory. Instead, let's just have a ridiculous ending fight scene that's horribly choreographed.
I mean, if you put it like that, it sounds...
Let's have someone die. Let's have 2 people die. And then just turn it into a basic revenge story. Which kind of stinks, because I was actually liking the brothers and their dynamic. I thought that was fun.
Huh. I mean, if you explain it like that, it sounds... I have
literally no idea what happened, because surprisingly, it's very hard to find in-depth production notes and interviews about a movie made in China released sometime in the period between 1978 and 1983, even though the version on my DVD says that it's from 1979. I don't know what this movie is, and that's why I like collecting these things.
Maybe send an inquiry to the Chinese government explaining what this movie is. You need to know.
I mean, I kind of want to keep it just for like speculation, because I don't know what happened. I kind of like it that way.
I mean, it's weird. That's okay.
Yeah. But I seriously do not know, because, on Rotten Tomatoes, it says it's from 1983. Wait. It's on the Wu-Tang Clan collection.
On the Wu-Tang Clan collection?
Yeah, that rap group from...
I know. What?
Yeah, apparently they team up with this company called Ground Zero or something like that.
Okay.
And I think they released a string of DVD collections with old kung fu movies on them, because that's what inspired them.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. It's just, why this of all things?
I don't know. This whole movie is just so weird.
Okay. I think it's better we move on.
Wait a second. I found another thing on eBay.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like 18 Fatal Strikes. And the rest of the posting says, Hong Kong Rare Kung Fu Martial Arts Action Movie, new DVD.
All caps
It's got
lock?
1 product rating and is being sold for $9.95. And the review gave it 5 stars. It says, good movie, old school 42 Street in effect.
Okay.
Also, they're recommending me a Tenyi deck core for $35.
That might not be necessarily related, but eBay
I know,
is
but
weird.
it's just I sometimes I look around on eBay. So,
but that's a great
this is
segue.
Also kind of weird. The running time is 85, but no, that's about right. No subtitles, distributor, Pan Media, full screen. Tung Wai learns the mysterious art of the 14 Buddha from a monk who's on the run from a Manchu army. Merciless white-haired shaking eagle? Is that what Wong Wu Ti means in English?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if I want to know. Watch the young Avenger battle it out with the most esoteric forms of kung fu ever. I should mention right now, he learns the Lohan Fist, and they say Lohan Fist like 7 times. It's just like, Lohan Fist. It's just like, okay. But the thing is, Wong Hung only knows 6. So, not even 18 Fatal Strikes. What is this movie? Oh man, I love these things. It's just so weird. I don't know what it is.
Maybe we need to pivot to that. Make this podcast fully about strange kung fu movies.
I would love that, honestly. And especially since you can find so many of them just on YouTube.
So many. It's like we would never run out. Like, so many of these movies exist.
I mean, I kind of want to just make a bunch of reviews where I just talk about the movies, because there's just so many freaking weird ones out there, and they're just so weird and confusing about how they even came into existence. But
well, that's something for an event.
We could do that. We could just make this, and we could call it the movie dojo or something.
Sure.
I don't know.
Dear audience, if you're interested in that, write in the comments that you want that, and we pivot to that completely. No problem. We are.
Yeah, let us know if you want to talk about swordsman with an umbrella.
Or the weird Japanese indie movie Heat After Dark that I still haven't found again.
Or Robo Vampire, which is actually a ripoff of RoboCop.
Or Strike Commando, a ripoff of Rambo 2. I know movies. Anyway, let's move on.
2, starring Jet Li.
If we don't move on, we will be stuck forever here.
I mean, we could do that. We could just keep talking about random martial arts movies.
One day, I haven't seen enough.
18 Fatal Strikes. I have no idea what this movie is, except that it's not great.
We would have to eventually talk about the Drunken Master collection box that one of my friends gifted another one of his friends.
Do you know that Drunken Master 2 was actually directed by like one of the best directors working for Shaw Brothers?
Well, now I know.
Yeah, it's Lau Carl Lung, something like that. Lau Kar Lung.
Okay.
Carl Lung. He's very prolific. I'm just gonna do this one thing because I think his filmography is actually pretty great. He directed 36 Chamber of the Shaolin.
Okay.
Executioners from Shaolin Mantis. Mad Monkey Kung Fu, Return to the 36th Chamber. 8 Diagram Pole Fighter.
Oh.
Drunken Master 2 and 3. Drunken Monkey, and one called Dirty Ho. That's his name.
We just keep that in here.
I mean, it's not a curse word if it's actually the guy's name.
It's such a weird situation where I'm not sure where we put the squeaky duck.
I'm not putting them in, because, I mean, that's the title. It's the title of the movie.
Well, we could talk about weird small movies.
We could talk about those till
forever. I mean, I have an.
We were supposed to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, that's what we want to do, but I also would love to talk about blaxploitation movies eventually.
Do you know that there are actually kung fu movies that are also blaxploitation movies?
I know, and that's one of the greatest things in existence.
70s movies were weird, but we're not talking about that. We've been talking about like God of War and weird kung fu. I talked about one weird kung fu movie for probably too long. I'm probably gonna cut out a bunch of like the not knowing what to talk about bits just to kind of get to the actual thing. I thought that what we talked about was actually kind of funny because all I did was rant about this movie making no sense.
Hey, that's great. I love this kind of content. So, okay,
right,
let's talk about the children's card game.
Yeah, let's talk about a children's anime based off a teenage-aimed manga, which spun off into a card game where cards can cost up to $100, even though they are shiny pieces of paper aimed primarily at children.
I remember when Mechanical Chaser was tier 0.
I don't. Probably
well, that's
because,
good for you.
Until last year, I didn't actually play against anyone. I always just played against myself because I had no friends who liked Yu-Gi-Oh!
Look on the bright side. Your track record is amazing. You never lost.
Yeah, until I actually started going and playing against real people. Then I just pretty much never win.
The price
on the
of
bright
success.
side, I am hoping to get, when this whole quarantine thing blows over and I can go back to the card shop, I am hoping to get a copy of Duel Overload, mainly just to get Selene.
Okay.
Because that's a really good card for my Endymions. And, I'll probably go back to Pendulum Magician Endymions because that actually managed to win me a decent number of games, if I remember correctly. And I just got a bunch of cards for Pendulum Magicians. A lot of them are probably useless, and I probably should have gotten some other cards. But hey, I still think they're cool. So they'll be fun to mess around with.
Great. So, what should we
talk about first? Should we talk about, what we think of the current state of the game, of the card game? Should we talk about the new anime? Should we talk more about old martial arts movies?
Let's keep it to Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't know. What do you want to start with? I'm open for everything.
Show?
Okay, then sure.
Okay, so the new Yu-Gi-Oh anime, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, because, Arc 5, I guess they just give up naming them sometimes. The new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime premiered the other day, and it introduces, rather than a new type of monster or mechanic to complicate the game even further, they made up a new way to duel. And before we actually get to the new way to duel, let's just talk about the anime itself. I actually kind of liked it.
It had something interesting, I have to say. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it the greatest thing ever, but it's
Yu-Gi-Oh! The bar is not
it's
very high.
It's not. But I find it interesting, like, how this is presented. Like, they want to make very much clear that the main character is a freedom-loving kind of guy stuck in a very authoritarian society that is basically controlled by a mega corporation that forces everybody to do exactly what they want.
Which means controlling children's card games.
I mean, in a world defined by children's card
not
games,
even just defined by one that has, canonically been created by the power of children's card games. I hate Zexal so much.
We all do, but that's normal. Oh boy.
I'm actually kind of liking Arc 5. I haven't finished it yet, but I mean, it's fun.
It's definitely more fun than a lot of other shows, I have to say, but yeah.
Also, 5Ds. Best Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Still,
yeah, I agree.
Even if it does have a lot of really weird stuff going on in the second season.
I rather have weird things going on than no things going on.
Yeah, but anyway, the new series is there's an authoritarian corporation controlling everyone's right to play a children's card game aimed at children with trading cards. To the point where you're not even allowed to trade the cards without permission, and it's just like it's a trading card game. That's the freaking point. So that's weird. And the main character, what's his name? Yugo?
I think it's Yugo. I forgot the name actually.
I'm gonna look it up. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Names weren't so big in the first episode, I have to say.
Where is it? Arc 5 Reigns Sevens. Here we go. Yuga Odo.
Okay.
So that's his name, or as I like to call him, Spike from Ape Escape 1.
I mean, he has what he looks like thing going on.
He is he's in the 7th grade. Oh wait, no, he's in the 5th grade.
It's an elementary school, so
yeah, he's in elementary school, which it seems like Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonists have been getting younger and younger. You know, in the first 3, they were like high school kids, but then in Zexal, they were middle schoolers, and then I don't know if, and then Arc 5 also had a middle school. I don't know if Yusaku from Vrains is in high school or something, but like he's also there. But now they're in like 5th grade, and they're just like, okay. They're getting even younger. All right.
Maybe you want to prohibit the access to waifus.
Yeah, okay. You should know by now that on the internet that age does not matter in that category.
I know.
We're not talking about that. We're going to talk about the anime. And he's just a kid who's like, I'm sick and tired of how dueling is treated and restricted, and so just he's regimented. So he's just like, I'm gonna make up my own rules. So he does, and that's it.
And he rides a tricycle.
It's an exercise bike.
I don't know. It could be a bobby car. I don't really care.
It's an exercise bike. He somehow turned into a normal bike, and I'm just gonna say this right now. The opening theme is funky, so good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. The ending theme, I don't know.
Yeah, the ending theme not so much, but the opening, wow, that's actually really fun.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's pretty good.
All right, so this new summon, it's not even a new summoning method. He just makes up his own, just a different way to play the game, which is the new format that they're going to introduce soon called Rush Duels. And I'm just going to be honest, I think that's really interesting, mainly just because this is it's a simpler form of the card game. It doesn't have all of these ridiculously just a massive amount of bullcrap. You know, you got in the like the main format, you got archetypes, you got fusions and synchros, exceeds, link monsters, pendulums, and it's just like there's so as much as I really love Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, love, hate, mostly hate. Man, I hate it, but I really like it. Really. I will admit, it can be incredibly overwhelming to play because there's just so many mechanics and there's just such an absurd amount of things to learn, and it's a bit ridiculous. So the whole point of Rush Duels is to basically strip it down, streamline it, and make it more approachable and easy to understand and play, and just be like, okay, I have a deck, let's play. All right, let's go. Do this thing. Because it's kind of like they took the old monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the old card design, and kind of like modernized them in a way to where the kind of dueling you had in like original Yu-Gi-Oh! Was faster. So, you know, you would have turns that don't take 20 minutes and end with a board of just this ridiculously unbreakable, just menagerie. Is that the right word? This giant board full of ridiculously powerful monsters that can all negate like 2 things and then destroy any card that you actually manage to put on the board. Instead, Rush Duels are just like a really simple form where it's just like, okay, you can normal summon as much as you want. You can draw every turn. You draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. You only get 3 zones for monsters, as well as spells and traps. And you still have to tribute monsters. What?
Your deck has only 20 cards. I looked up the rules.
Wait, really?
Yes.
I don't think that's right.
That's what I read. Might be not right.
No. It says that players start with 8,000 life points. Players can have 40 to 60 cards in their deck, unless it's a legend card like the Blue Eyes White Dragon. You can only have one of those.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can normal summon as many monsters as you want, but you still need to tribute. So I like that.
Okay.
And this is actually pretty cool. You don't have a main phase 2 or a standby phase. You only have draw main battle, and then you end your turn. And everything that has an effect has an implicit once per turn condition. So if a card says something like discard 1 card, draw another card, it means that you can only do that once.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's not like a lot of cards are today where they have like 6 effects and they're just like, okay, and you have to be really, really pedantic and like, all right, does it say if or when? What kind of punctuation does it have? Does this come before or after a period or a semicolon or a normal colon or a comma? It's just like, no. The cards are basically do this thing and then you get to do this. And that's it. And I love that.
It's pretty simple and effective.
I know. I like this so much because it's basically just being like, okay, we understand that the game is ridiculously overly complicated at this point. It takes a lot to learn. So we're going to make it a little simpler, make something that's more aimed toward fun, I guess. That's what I feel like what they're trying to do. They're just trying to make it be like, okay, we're going to slow things down by bringing it back to the bare basics that you actually need to, play the game. And we're going to, make it a little more energetic, but we're not going to make it super complicated.
It sounds like they want to go for a more battle-focused approach because as of now, battle focus is incredibly low. Like, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very dependent on removal and negation effects and just not allowing anything to happen, removing the interaction with the opponent as much as possible. and locking them out of most of the options. So basically, there is no real battle focus in the game anymore. Because
no, it's basically just like if you go first, you have to set up a board of like 17 negates, and then you basically stop your opponent from playing the game. But okay, well, we'll get to this, like the state of the current game in a little bit. For now, let's just talk about like Rush Duels, the anime itself. We'll get to the actual state of the game and our opinions on it later. Okay?
Okay.
I'm good?
Good.
Okay. But I'm just gonna like look up really that when I say like this is very much calling back to like the old style of Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean in the sense that they feel kind of like monsters you would find in the original series, but you know, they have a different design that I kind of really like. It's kind of grown on me. I like it.
It has a somewhat... The style reminds me a little bit of the really first cards that were released in some ways.
Well, not like the monster artwork itself, because that honestly looks like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If it looked like the original, no one would play it.
The designs seemingly are very much involved with some of the early points. I mean, like we haven't seen much monsters beyond a certain kind of attack value or attributes. It's all very simple and small at this point. I think
Silver Fang's back.
Yeah,
Skull Servant's back. They've introduced they've kept some like old cards. Silver Fang, that's pretty cool to see.
But they want to keep it in an interesting spot where it's more about really creating a big ace monster, bringing that to the forefront. This is really what I think it is. Because
they're just like, okay, Little D's back too, so that's interesting. Oh no, it's a Noble Arms. Well, so much for not having archetypes. Guess we're screwed. Might as well forget it.
I mean, that's to be expected. Archetypes are such an important part of a game. But
okay, it's not an archetype. It's just like it's probably just a coincidence in naming. But what I think is really, really fascinating to think about is that if the series focuses entirely on Rush Duels, and I hope that's the case, and I really hope Rush Duels catches on because it seems like it would just be so much fun to play. This might be the first time in the game's history where we won't have a bunch of unnecessary, anime cards where they're just like super highly specific situations that only worked one time in the anime because it was made for that one specific situation, or a bunch of useless cards from the anime that in real life really wouldn't work very well at all.
So many early GX cards.
Like for the next 2 or 3 years, we might have like the main format. It might be where we pretty much just have all like of course, new archetypes. They're not going to stop making like 20 new archetypes every single year. Actually, that's probably a lowball number. 47 new archetypes a year, and there are only going to be like 5 decent ones and only 2 that anyone actually cares about. And the rest are going to get like 2 or 3 cards of new support in like sets apart. And it's just, no one's going to play them. So that's probably still going to happen. But I do think it'll be very fascinating to see what it'll be like for them to not have the anime to base new cards or archetypes off of. That's very fascinating to think of.
Again, I think this is interesting. The only problem I see is that they kind of want to make it a separate thing with separate cards. And
that's why they have a different design.
Yeah,
a card frame thing.
And I'm not sure, this can be kind of detrimental in some situations where you have to basically sell like 2 products at the same time. And that can
they're already doing Rush Duels and stuff.
I mean, yes, but I haven't seen that being a major pushed focus at any point. Like, if I go to my local game store and say like, hey, are you playing that? I'm like, nope. Because that's not the main focus of the game. So
I think like the main format, I'm just going to call it the main format, is already established. It's just okay, we already got it. So maybe this is trying to be like getting new people into the game.
Yeah, but the problem is the games are so different from each other. A Rush Duel is not comparable to the.
I mean, it has the basic
advanced format.
elements.
It has some basic elements, but it's not really the same. The whole game economy is very different. What you have to do, how the monster effects are presented. I think if you are actually enjoying Rush Duels, I'm not sure if you will ever fully enjoy regular Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, we won't know until it happens.
I mean,
It
we can
might.
see. It's just that the problem with differentiation between the cards is that you cannot easily start. If you start in Rush Duels, you have to invest a large amount of money to even start in the other's game mode. You cannot take one to the other, and that's kind of a problem, I think.
I mean, I'm still looking forward to it. I think it might actually help some people get into the general idea of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then maybe, if they happen to like Rush Duels enough, they might maybe look at getting into the main format, even if it's just like on a very casual level. Or maybe though, I really hope that they continue Rush Duels after 7 comes to an end in like 2-3 years or something like that. And I hope it catches on, because honestly, this just seems like it would be a lot of fun, and it would be a very nice break from the honestly exhausting main format of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I'm just gonna look up an effect monster. And they're just like, Gravity Press Dragon, what's it do? Okay, it's level 6 with 1500 attack and 1000 defense, and it says, requirement, send one card from your hand to the graveyard. Effect, one face-up monster your opponent controls loses 700 attack and defense until the end of this turn. Boom! That's simple. That's easy. That's just like, do a thing, you get a thing. I like that. And something I like about this is that this feels like all of their effects happen on the field, so you can't get effects off of other effects. Like, if it said something like discard, there would probably be some really stupid thing about how some monsters get effects when they're discarded, but since it's just like, no, you just send a card to your graveyard. Like, there's nothing like that yet, and I hope there isn't, because I really just want this to remain a simple format, because sometimes main format Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of is horrible. I'm not gonna lie. It's exhausting and ridiculous.
It really is very poor, and there's a reason why some players.
Ooh, a new Karibo. It's a little steampunk ball chimney thingy. That's cute. What's it do? If you control no other monsters, you can pay 500 life points. Add one Currybot from your graveyard to your hand. All right, that's not bad, because you can normal summon as many times as you want. Heck yeah.
But
what were you saying? Sorry about that.
It's okay. I was saying, like, the big problem that Yu-Gi-Oh has now, that it has nowadays, is that it's so weird. But some people still play older formats of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, there's still people playing the GOAT format, as they call it, because they felt like the game had reached such a good balanced approach at that point that everything was fine, so that they still play this format to this day.
Nothing wrong with that. Giving people options to play generally the same game in some form or another is a good thing.
And this specific format is also relatively simple. I mean, I think this was somewhere along the GX times when they designed this, and back in the day, it wasn't as overcomplicated.
Oh my gosh, they have a card called Masked Fiery Noodle Ninja Chili Red. It's a normal level 3 with 800 attack, and its description is that a ninja with strong springy noodles and a unique texture. There is no escape from his soup-infused noodle shackles.
I see. We finally found Jack Atlas' new deck, new mascot for its deck.
That's actually pretty good. I understand that reference. Marvel joke. I don't know. But yeah. I actually really like the card design just because it is so simple and there's no like cheesing out a bunch of ridiculous stuff off of other things. It's just like do a thing, get a thing. You can normal summon as many times as you want. There's no new summoning method. It's just like I said, it's pulling it back, making it streamlined, and for right now, it doesn't seem like they're gonna add anything completely ridiculous.
Just give me a Skull Servants and a Marju Gazette, and I'm fine.
Skull Servant's actually here.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, it's just in the anime right now. But that might mean we get it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, most cards from the anime get made into cards anyway, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I think we should wait for more episodes to fully understand what's going on. Not that, like 60 episodes down the line, we're like, yeah, we're going to turn this around and it's getting more complicated. We're dropping tons new cards and this new summoning method and like.
I am really hoping they don't. I hope they keep this simplistic nature because I really think that's what I need right now. That's what I want.
It's not what we deserve, but it's what we all need.
Yeah.
Because Yu-Gi-Oh! is as of now a pretty bad game, actually. Like,
I kind of like how some of them, I kind of like how some of them say that requirement none. You can just use it. I kind of like that.
That's good. But yeah. I've talked with a few people who design actually card games, and then what they say about this whole thing. And Yu-Gi-Oh! is a bottomless pit of mess. A lot of people are not fine with it. It seems like
wait. Hold that thought. Let's talk about the anime just a little bit more and give our like general thoughts on it. Then we can move on to the state of the game today.
I mean, there's not much to discuss about the anime. It's just one episode.
Yeah, it's just one episode, but like first impressions, I think it's fun.
Yes.
I hope it catches on. I actually kind of like the art style because let's face it, it's kind of been a visual nightmare. I feel like I feel like the visuals remind me of a lot of other like just like kind of basic kids anime like Beyblade, Tenkai Knights, Tai Chi Chasers, if anyone remembers that one. But I mean, I think it works. I think it works fine.
It works. I mean, it's not as weird as some other visuals we had before.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that ever since Zexel, everything got out of control with the art style.
Yeah. 5D was relatively, normal looking.
I mean, not everybody had multicolored hair.
Yeah, only one guy did.
It's so weird that this has become the norm.
And even then, it wasn't as colorful as like Yugi's.
But this is
like
just
black hair with like some yellow streaks in it.
It's like it's okay to have multicolored hair, but not everybody needs this. Who had this idea? Why is this necessary? Why is Yuma not constantly face-fiving the ground?
Yeah, I think this is a good thing.
Keep me up at night.
I think this is a good thing, making just a generally simpler form of the card game. I think the anime is the first episode anyway. It was fun. I like the idea, and I really like the student council president. He was actually pretty funny.
He is more of a comedic character at this point, but that's totally fine.
Yeah. I think it'll be neat to see how it evolves. And also, I'm hoping that Sevens Rhodes Magician stays as his ace monster because it would also break the trend of ace monsters needing to be 2,500 attack.
It's something different.
I mean, except in Vrains, because Firewall Dragon was banned for being really easy to abuse.
Well, we learned about that very quickly. We learned the most important lesson. When it pours, it rains.
On the bright side, code talkers, they're neat.
Yeah.
All right, so I think the anime's neat. I'm very much looking forward to Rush Duels, and you can now continue your statement about how you were talking to people who make card games.
Yeah, I was talking about people who made card games, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is considered to be an out-of-control mess. It's very clear that nobody really has a plan of what's going on. They just add and pile on to that. And the problem is that this is detrimental to the game because in multiple ways. Like because UA can't fix this. You can't, because the process of fixing it would mean that all of the cards that you created beforehand would become useless, and the cards that you produce afterward are too weak. So if you don't remove one or the other from the card pool, you are ending up in a situation where nobody is satisfied because they spend so much money on it. You cannot do it slowly, so it's not a process that you can easily do. And we learned just that it's not a good idea to do that in general, and that you often need to work with a set rotation to effectively deal this out. This is how many card games have actually dealt with it. Their formats are dependent on certain set rotations to make sure that they do not overload the game with absurd effects.
Like Cardfight Vanguard.
For example, I think the best few examples are definitely the Pokemon trading card game and Magic the Gathering, who both basically work the same, where they say, like, for our tournament modes, only the last few sets are allowed to be played for our main game mode. For other game modes, everything is okay, dependent on what we ban. But this has some good ideas, because it means that you can explore with every set what you want, and you have not to contain so many cards in your mindset, what you have to think about. Like, a lot of the problems that come from Yu-Gi-Oh!, for example, as we learned in the last few years, is that certain cards have no once per turn clause, and that caused many abuse, like with Catapult Turtle, for example. They had to ban this. Catapult Turtle, Necros,
Firewall, I think.
Cannon Soldiers. There's so many of these effects that seemingly nowadays can be just recycled endlessly and turned into many loops that make the game, the term that they often use is degenerate, even though I personally don't like that word, but that's how it
isn't it also like cancer or toxic?
Toxic is not no, that's not really the same. Like, cancerous is maybe a word that you could use, but I don't like to use those terms. I would say that it's very abusive. It's a very abusive game style that is not necessarily intended to be done, because many cards are designed in a vacuum mostly. Like, how are they interacting with the archetype and maybe some of the cards that we have, but they are never really designed with the idea of how does this interact with the rest set of a card, and that's unreasonable considering how many cards there are. You cannot keep every little card effect in mind. So because of that,
and even then, you know, they've made up rules again where they have to be like, okay, semicolons, commas, colons, periods, if, when. Yes. Just like, you need to be a lawyer to play this children's card game, basically.
Yes, this is a problem that they also had. The clarity in the language they are using is not given. Even with problem-solving card text, even with shortening of mechanics and names, it hasn't helped make the game more clearer. It still takes a lot of time. And sometimes I just blank out while reading the card text, seemingly, because it's just not interesting or important to me. It's not clear. And, you know, there are other alternatives. Like, Magic has this problem where it has a lot of specific single-word mechanics that it puts on cards. And some of them are evergreens that don't have to be explained. And I can deal with that. But some say that's bad. I think this is good because it makes mechanics universal. It says, like, okay, this is the list. These are always returning. These are not. And you just learn to use them to your advantage. And that makes the cards more clearer readable. Sure, you may not know what it is, but especially in the regular yearly released sets, they explain explicitly what these mechanics do, and it's not that it's complicated. But that's really helping the game. It keeps it fresh, and it also contains the situation where you have to continually buy the next set. So there's a monetary gain for the companies involved. You have to get the new cards and the old ones drop out, but you can still keep the old ones playing for other game modes. And that's totally fine. That works out very well. And it also means that sets that are accidentally too powerful are not too damaging, even though they can be. Like, we have
Is it because, they cycle them out and like, okay, right. You can't... Because I don't know how the Pokemon or Magic the Gathering thing works. Are you saying like you can only play a certain set in like competitive capacity for a certain length of time before you can't use them anymore?
Yes, it works. So the primary game mode that the game is standard. Standard means that as of now, I think it's the last 6 sets that are 6 or 8 sets. That is like the releases of the last 2 years are tournament legal. Every card of that, with the exception of cards that are put on the ban list, if that is necessary, are tournament legal to play in a deck. And whenever I think a year is over, they reevaluate and throw 4 of these sets out because every year 4 sets are released.
And so you have like the past 18 months or so of cards?
Yes, so to speak.
All right. I'm not entirely sure that would work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, you need staple cards. And even then, there are a lot of... I don't even know how many sets they make in a year. Like 15? Maybe like one a month?
And that's kind of a problem, I think. They oversaturate with so many so fast.
Yeah, they do so much, especially since a lot of the packs are just full of useless garbage that no one plays and is just going to stack up in the common bins because no one wants to play them. No one really has a use for them. A lot of them are just bad in the first place and have really no specific use, but they fill them up with, like, in a pack of like 9 cards, there's like 2 that you probably want and maybe a couple others that you definitely want. For example, in Ignition Assault, it was the first box that I bought for like $100. I really regret that. But I wanted to get it because I thought the Megalith archetype was interesting, and I'm going to get to archetypes in just a second because holy crap. Now, in those packs, you get 9 cards in a standard, booster pack set thing. 1 is a guaranteed rare, and another is some variation of like super ultra secret, ghost, parallel, shatterfoil.
Yep.
I have no idea how many different rarities they have, but they have a lot of them. And then the rest of the 7 are commons, most of which no one will ever use because a lot of them just are not very good. And throughout that entire pack, I didn't really get any like super valuable cards that might help me, recoup my cost. I got a whole bunch of garbage cards that I don't want. I got a couple decent ones. I got like 3 Jackabolins and like 3 Unchained Souls. I got some of the Senkas, but not enough to like make a deck, so that's not super good. I did get all of the Megaliths, though. Unfortunately, we're only getting like 2 more cards for them. A quick play, which lets you ritual summon from the deck, which is super cool, and a level 2 that I don't know when they're coming out. And I don't think they can really do that whole like rotate out structure with Yu-Gi-Oh! Because not only do you have a lot of staple cards that they don't reprint, and you need a lot of the staple cards, but also a lot of the cards that are just kind of like general use or archetype support for like in the very rare case where old archetypes get some new support, you wouldn't be able to play them because the archetype is probably really old and you just can't do it anymore. And even then, again, the staple cards, like some draw cards, some pretty basic trap cards. A lot of them have been out for a couple of years. Sometimes, archetypes can spend about a year or so. in the game and still manage to be really, really good. So I don't think that kind of system would really work for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, in competitive format, a lot of the time they use newer cards to bolster old archetypes that just work really well already. Some cards work really well already, but the new cards just kind of help them make it a bit better. And I think if they did do that whole set rotation thing, by the way, set rotation is a card and it is limited to one, it wouldn't work in the same way because just of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Functions more with, archetypes and stuff like that. I could be being completely stupid right now, but that's just...
It's actually kind of interesting because the design process of Magic the Gathering is very open. Like, the design team speaks very open about that. And yeah, these kind of problems exist, but they have actually solutions. Like, once a year, there is the core set released that contains a lot of evergreens and staples, also some kind of halfway previews for specific mechanics and archetypes you want to push for the next set. And the sets are contained in blocks. That means a block is specifically tied to one plane of existence, that the story takes place, and this means that all of the archetypical cards of that specific plane are put into the sets.
That definitely would not work for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because then they couldn't make them artificially scarce to make people buy more packs to get that one super good boss monster that makes the archetype work.
Oh, they can still do that. That's not a problem. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh's design is very different to Magic in the first place because you need a lot more different card content elements. Like, on top of the fact that every booster pack has also to work for the draft mechanic if you want to play a round of draft. You don't know what draft is.
No, I know what draft is. You just buy a box and then people open them and then they play with just the cards they get, right?
In a way, it's a very specific kind of mode where you sit together with 8 people on a table, open up.
Well, then they do a terrible job at that because a lot of the commons are complete garbage that no one wants to use.
Well, yes, that's the point of Yu-Gi-Oh! But Yu-Gi-Oh! is not made. But Yu-Gi-Oh! is not made for draft experience. It's made for very constructed.
Okay, yeah. Experience. Actually, I do think they do have like those, like the sets. Like the most recent one, Secret Slayers, introduces 3 new archetypes and some decent cards to support those archetypes. Unfortunately, the new archetypes are kind of scarce in their boss monsters, and I'm going to get to boss monsters in a second because I have something to say. And I'm going to say it because it's my podcast, and I can do what I want.
You can say whatever you want.
In the new one, you got 3 new archetypes. You got Eldritch, which is like El Dorado cult zombies.
Okay.
It's a neat idea, but it's just really weird. It's like you have one monster, you got 3 trap monsters, and like 3 Eldlixir spell trap things, which are like special summon zombies. It's weird.
Okay.
The main guy, Eldritch, is just this giant gold zombie with a bunch of like gems, and it's weird. Another one is Adamanticators, which are rocks. They're like, they have archaeologists and they've got like the rocks. I think they're supposed to be tuners or something. I don't remember which one is the tuners, but like their whole thing is that like they excavate cards from the top of the deck and they search out the rocks and then they synchro summon into big gigantic crystal guys. So that's kind of cool. And the third one, my personal favorite, are Rikas. They are pretty snow flower ladies. And they tribute stuff. And they make your opponent tribute stuff. So they're neat. And they do include some cards that go along with them. So, for the Rikas, they have the 4 flower princesses. Titanial, Marinia, Chirubime, and I don't remember who the 4th one is, but they're generally considered to be good plant support. The Rikas are all plants. That's good. Unfortunately, I do think they have the issue where when they make sets like that, either it's heavily skewed toward one specific archetype in the set, or they just fill up most of the packs with the cards meant to support the new archetypes. I think those are meant for draft play, but they're kind of unbalanced because I think a lot of them are more skewed toward filling them with this.
I can definitely tell you that Yu-Gi-Oh is not a draft experience. I mean,
those sets are kind of for draft.
I've looked in this and it just doesn't work. It doesn't have that kind of concept that Magic has, where it's all defined by color. You can't make this. It's just not possible effectively. Some cards have too many.
I don't play Magic, so I don't know.
It's like that's really the biggest problem you have. Like you have, for example, Yu-Gi-Oh has this kind of moment where you have like good example of this are Ritual and Fusion monsters. They have very specific requirements to even get them onto a field. What means that you have to have all of these things. In a draft experience, you can never have that kind of element. You would have to like, oh, I picked the fusion monster, but that means I need to have all of the other things and a fusion card.
Yeah, I guess that's a big reason as to why old fusions and old rituals kind of suck, because with old rituals you needed a specific ritual spell, and now it's just you need an archetype ritual spell, unless it's like something really specific. Like you occasionally get something in the vein of like Odd Eye's Gravity Dragon, or something I really like about I guess that's just part of power creep.
It's not like power creep. It's just a very specific design
adaptation,
method,
making them easier to play or something. I'm not sure what the right word is.
But that's something that Magic doesn't have, because the requirement for summoning are specifically tied to the mana. If you and the land is something you can get basically for free. Like your decks can contain every standard land if you want, in an unlimited capacity if you need them, and they don't rotate out. You just take the same lands every time. So you can have this all the time, and all the requirements is just how much mana you have to put in. And because it's only dependent on color, you can basically have a draft experience, because it doesn't really matter, because you can always bring the card onto the field, or you can always cast the spell, because there's no requirement like that on top of that. It's only like how much you want to have. Like if a spell might say it wants to have 1 and a blue mana, and you can just play that because you have that kind of thing that you construct into the deck. That's something that you cannot do with Yu-Gi-Oh, because it has very specific activations.
Oh, okay. So I guess it's kind of like it doesn't matter that they rotate out like the new stuff, because the old stuff worked with the same things that you can use in the new stuff.
Yes, so to speak.
Okay,
that's really the thing. Like that's one of the good examples of it. Like you have like in one set you have like, for example, this is a good example. In the set, Uncut was a card that was a god. I think it was Bantu. And Bantu had the ability to, whenever a instant is cast, to deal 1 damage to any target that you wanted. Like, wherever you want to put it, you can put a damage on. And this worked incredibly well with a lot of red decks that just like to do just casting simple spells that deal damage, like play a shock, deal 2 damage to a specific target, and hey, you get another one, and that adds up to it. And so the card became a really big staple. No, that wasn't Bantu, it was Hazoret. I always mix these two up. But the fact was that because the card was a god, because the card was indestructible, that was one of its key abilities, and could always deal damage to certain points, it was really hard to get rid of it, and became a staple throughout the standard rotation that it was in. And you could always play it, because it only wanted, I think, like a red, 2 red and 2 colorless. So you could always do that. Pretty simple.
Hello. Oh, is that it?
That's it. What do you want more?
Oh, I thought you had something more to say. I was kind of confused. Like what?
I just wanted to give you how does this work. I mean, that's how it always works. That's the reason why Magic is so much You don't need to learn every time new. If a new mechanic comes, you can just see, oh, that's just a bear. Like, oh yeah, for 2 green mana, I get a 2/2. That's a bear.
Yeah, okay. That makes
That's
sense.
a grizzly. And that's kind of what makes it so simple. That's the reason why I often try it out. It's not that complicated, but it is very interesting how it plays power dynamics. Because
I might try play against you like online or something like that.
Sure, there are many options to do so. I can definitely recommend a few.
So Yu-Gi-Oh definitely would not work with draft play unless they make like specific packs and sets
it needs to be
specifically for it.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're ever going to do that, because that's not the focus. The focus is to sell the single packs for the constructed experience of the advanced play mode, as it's called.
And fill it with a bunch of useless crap no one will play.
See, and that's a wonderful thing. This kind of useless crap also exists in Magic, but there it is specifically for draft, because the useless things become really useful in draft.
We're not talking about draft anymore.
But that's why you have this kind of chaff in there.
And I thought we were just talking about the general state of the game, not how it plays with draft, because no one really plays draft except in like sanctioned things. I think we've made the point on draft. It's not very good, because the thing about a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh!
The point is that Magic sets are always designed with draft experience in mind. That's why you need the chaff. That's why you need the commons that nobody would ever play. Because in draft, they become important resources.
Well, in Yu-Gi-Oh!
They don't. I know.
You just don't do it, because a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know how Magic works, but I feel like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You pretty much have to play based on an archetype, or like just like some kind of central theme revolving around 1 or 2 general cards, and then you make a deck around that, and then you keep playing it and bolstering it with new cards that they come out that they can help, and then you just keep going with that until it just stops, and then you have to pick up something new.
I mean, that's kind of what Magic also does. Pick a few win conditions, how you can achieve them, and then put in what you want.
I think one of the biggest issues, I'm just going to jump to like a different thing just because I wanted to. I think one of the biggest problems I have with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is archetypes, because, I like archetypes. I like their idea. I like the whole thing where like you get this, you make a deck about it, and that's what you do. You pick an archetype, you make a deck about it with that as like your central thing. For example, I quite like playing Endymions. So, okay, my deck is I need Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, which is the best name ever. Reflection of Endymion, Servant of Endymion. I need the Citadel. Okay, so just like you need a handful of cards to like make them work, and that's what you do. You add in some other cards to go with it. But I feel like there are just like way too many archetypes.
Yeah, at this point,
it feels like they introduce like 30 a year, and no one really cares about. I feel like
many of them are just not really well thought out and just die out the instant they are released.
A lot of them don't do anything, or like they kind of have a neat idea, but just they don't have anything that can really make them noticeable. I feel like if, let's say, there are like 30 new archetypes introduced every year in Yu-Gi-Oh! That sounds fair.
That's still way too much.
Okay, 20.
No, I mean, that's way too much to in any case to have. Like, that's not a good idea to have. Let's say 15. If they would be really smart, okay, let's assume that the developers of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are really smart. Then they would have not put so many different archetypes into the game, but instead supported these via legacy support. Like, you have one specific archetype
I was about
introduced.
To say that.
Yeah, that's really how they should have done that. Instead of just always throwing something new on, just pick an old one and just upgrade it. Give more cards, give retrains. They do that sometimes, but
that's for like the anime ones. Like, you get Blue Eyes stuff, you get Red Eyes stuff, you get Dark Magician stuff, which is awesome because I personally love Dark Magician. You sometimes you got some Harpy stuff. You got some new Toon stuff. You got Ancient Gears,
yes,
Cyber Dragons.
The problem
but
is
that's like anime
also
stuff.
Yeah, but there are also archetypes who have been successful and interesting without the anime. I mean, I know a lot
Gears
of
been successful?
Yeah, a lot of them have. Like, take for example,
I actually kind of like Ancient Gears because their whole thing is just making a big, huge thing and then punching really, really hard.
That's a classic one. But there are some archetypes that they're very successful outside of that were very much liked. I mean, think of spirals are as of now really, really good. Everybody likes what they are doing.
I mean, they lost Master Plan, so we're gonna have to wait and see if they hold on.
But the point is, these are archetypes that have been supported for a while, and the question is, if 10 years down the line they will support these archetypes, will there still be in 10 years a new spiral card released?
No.
Yeah, no, that's the point, because at this point they think like, no, we have to move on to something else. And that's kind of sad because many of these archetypes haven't even reached the potential. I mean, think of aroma mages, like really interesting, really interesting archetype, interesting concept, but often lacking certain support to make it work. Never really competitive, just needs more work. You need more, but nobody is interested in doing that. These archetypes don't reach the full potential.
Can I say what I was gonna say just real quick? Sorry.
Sure.
That was weird. All right, so let's say there's like 15 new archetypes introduced a year in Yu-Gi-Oh! That sound fair?
That sounds fair.
All right, so let's say there are 15 new ones introduced a year. I feel like on average, only 5 of them will actually be somewhat playable, and their 10 will just be forgotten, and like 9 of them will probably get like support in the form of like 2 to 3 cards introduced a couple sets apart and then just completely forgotten about, and maybe 2 or 3 of the archetypes will actually carry on for a bit longer, but eventually they'll all be forgotten about. And I honestly think that kind of stinks because I personally think there are a lot of archetypes that could be awesome if they just were like, okay, let's make a new archetype, let's make some new support for, I don't know, aroma mages. Yeah, sure, let's do one of that. Let's make some new archetype. For example, just as an example, I would like to see support for Ignites. Ignites were a weird pendulum archetype that mostly consisted of normal monsters that had the same pendulum effect. If both of your pendulum zones were occupied by Ignites, you could destroy both of them, and then you could search a Fire Warrior. Not just an Ignite, but, you would search Ignite. And, back when they were still, like new in Master Rule 3, from what I understand, they were actually really, really good because, they were incredibly consistent. They could work with a lot of generic support like Summoner's Art, Rhoda, stuff like that. Painful Decision, that's another one. Because, they were normal warrior pendulum monsters that the normal ones all had levels between 3 and 6. And their effect monsters, not quite on the same level. They were fun. They were actually pretty good. They bounced Ignites back to your hand so you could spin cards to the bottom of the deck. So that was pretty cool. But from what I understand, Ignites were a really good deck because you just destroyed them to stack up the extra deck with Ignites. You would bring them all back with one big pendulum summon, and then you would make big monsters off of them. Like, I think one pretty common combo that they would do is that they would get 2 level 4s and 2 level 6s in the extra deck, bring them back with a pendulum summon, XC summon Beatrice to send a spell card to the grave, so that would be Argent Chaos Force. Then they would use the level 4s to XC summon Utopia, rank that up into Utopia the Lightning. They would get Argent back, make it Zexal, and then your opponent couldn't do anything for the next turn because Zexal just what that did. Argent is banned now, and since the introduction of Master Rule 4, Ignites just kind of don't work anymore because their whole thing, because, we have seen that pendulum archetypes can do well. Pendulum magicians work well. Odd Eyes, they work kind of well. Endymions just Endymions, man. They're great. Right?
I just want to remind you of this, just so you know. You have to put on all the cards you're talking about on screen.
I'm not doing that. We're talking about the general state of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm gonna put up like one card, one modern card.
Pick one with very, very much text. Like insane.
Endymion, the mighty master of magic.
That has already too much.
Hey, it's a cool name. And it's got a really cool effect. But the thing is, it has shown that pendulum archetypes can still do well, right?
Yes.
But that's because they could carry on because they could do things other than just pendulum summon. Ignites could only do that one thing. And, ever since Master Rule 4 came around, they took an archetype that could potentially still, probably not be like super meta defining, but they could at least still be fun. They just like slammed the door. They haven't been heard from in years. And it's just like, no, we're not going to make any Ignite support ever, which stinks because they had some cool cards. They got stuff like Ignite Burst. Ignite Reload is basically a hand neutral magic mallet for pendulum monsters. So that's pretty interesting. They had a kind of neat field spell. They had good stuff going, but we haven't really gotten anything from them in years. And I feel like they could be at least fun. Like they could at least be a somewhat decent deck. Maybe if they were given a Link monster, or if they were given just like something to help them out. I'd love to see Ignites come back since, they can't fill up packs with useless anime cards anymore because the anime is probably going to focus on rush duels. I hope so. Because I think that would be really neat to see if we could actually get legacy support for old archetypes that do have potential. But they're probably not going to do that because they're probably just going to keep making archetypes and repeating the cycle.
That makes me think of something weird. What if, and I'm just saying this, what if Yu-Gi-Oh! Dies because it doesn't have an anime that supports the main card game? Like, what if that actually makes nobody new comes into this and nobody wants to play it anymore?
That's why they made a new format.
Yeah, but okay, they will probably make money of that, so if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to stop anybody.
I feel like the thing I said, that whole rant I went on right now just about Ignites kind of went nowhere. I feel like that might have been pointless. Was it pointless?
No, it just shows that you liked that specific archetype. You wanted to see the archetype go somewhere. And nobody ever did anything because the rules didn't fit well, and they never did anything to circumvent that.
Yeah, for example, they banned Electromite. They banned in the new Master Rule, so Fusion Synchro and Xyz monsters, they can go anywhere, but Pendulums still need Link arrows, and you took away the one Link monster that was specifically made for them. How does that make sense? You made one for Endymions, and I'm happy for her because Celine, Celine's awesome. I'm not going to deny that. I like Celine. I think she's pretty cool.
I just think,
but you took away the normal pendulum one. Why?
The reason is just simple. That the problem they had was when they designed pendulum monsters, they did not consider this in any way, shape, or form how this would form the game, and they didn't think it effectively through, combining spell cards with monsters and allowing such an easy summoning method.
I'm not going to deny, I like pendulums. I really like pendulums a lot, but I will fully admit that they were kind of completely freaking broken in Master Rule 3. But Link arrows, why did you ban Electromite? I'd like to see it back, and I would like to stop seeing all these new archetypes you're just going to completely forget about and see some old support, like Cardfight Vanguard. You ever play Cardfight?
I never played Cardfight, no. But they support their archetypes as far as I understand.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're basically just like, okay, we have these sets coming out, this, and this. We're gonna make one new archetype for this one, and then everything else, your guys are gonna get new cards. At least a couple new cards in this set, and then the other one is going to get one in this set. So they basically make it so a lot of their archetypes don't necessarily go defunct. They just they're updated. They do stuff to be like, okay, boom, there you go. You got new stuff, so go have fun with that. And the next one will get it in the next go round. And I wish Yu-Gi-Oh! Did something like that. Stop it with all the completely useless crap no one will play. Maybe introduce some rotating legacy support for, maybe some fan favorites, maybe some that no one remembers that had some kind of potential, like Ignites. I really would like to see Ignites come back in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just I don't know, 2 new spell or trap cards and a link monster. I'd be fine with that. That'd be fine. It'd be neat. It'd be funny just to see them come back. But I feel like that's never going to happen because that's not how Yu-Gi-Oh works.
I think it would be just better than just releasing the endless the X time that we have Blue Eye support. God
yeah,
damn.
And stop supporting just the classic anime stuff. We get it. Nostalgia, but first of all, heroes need to stop getting all the broken support that I'm going to get to in just a second because I wanted to talk about freaking stupid boss monsters for a little bit, but we do that later. Enough Blue Eyes. Dark Magician, I'll gladly accept more of those because I love Blue Eyes. Red Eyes, sure, that one doesn't get too much love, but what about okay, not Zexal because Zexal sucks, and Odd Eyes, maybe not too much, just because it's still relatively new-ish. So, but if in the future, I really hope they don't just keep making legacy support for the Dark Magicians and the Blue Eyes and stuff like that. I hope they introduce more support for the Roids, the Viacroids.
Oh boy, I remember when they got new support.
Those aren't very good, but I mean, they might be kind of funny to bring a little bit more support to. Or the Cyber Angels. New Cyber Angel support would be neat. We did get some in that one set, but that's kind of all we got. What else? What else is there? Or just some random ones that were never in the anime. Just it'd be neat to see.
Well, so what's your spiel about boss monsters? Tell me about boss monsters.
Okay, but first, can you tell me if we were done talking about how it'd be a good idea if they did rotating legacy support for old cards instead of pushing a bunch of unnecessary crap?
Yeah, I think that's a very great idea, and yeah, I think we made this clear.
All right,
set rotation. Give me more alien cards.
I think we did get one.
Yeah, but that was a while
ago.
Overload.
More alien cards would actually be kind of neat, like a decent field spell that did the attack reduction thing for all monsters with A counters. That'd be neat. That'd be okay. Yep.
Or a new boss monster. That would be
boss monsters. I kind of hate them now because back when Yu-Gi-Oh was first starting out, your boss monsters were things like Blue Eyes White Dragon, Dark Magician, one of my personal favorites of all time, and Summon Skull, Gaia, the Force of Earth. No, that's the Synchro. Gaia, the Fierce Knight. That's the one. Blackluster Soldier. You had these big boss monsters that were very powerful, and they were pretty much just big beat sticks, but it took effort to bring them out, and if you got them on the field, they weren't impossible to get rid of, right?
Yeah.
But now, fast forward, 20 years later, man, just I'm thinking back to the old card artwork, and the original card art was terrible. Except Dark Magician, he always looked cool. But now you fast forward here, and boss monsters are basically I activate this one card to summon out this big 3K beater with 6 different effects, with basically no effort. This monster can destroy all your stuff, negate twice per turn, does piercing damage, can destroy everything on your field, can't be destroyed by card effects, it can't be destroyed by bat. That's what boss monsters feel like now. They don't feel important. They just feel like another thing you do in a long string of 20 minutes that you do setting up a board that basically says you cannot play the game anymore because I did this ridiculously long combo that just so happened to end with a stupid powerful boss monster you can't get over and is incredibly unfair. Maybe that's just me.
No, that's not just you. That's definitely a big problem that everything has. Everything has to be effect immune. Everything has to be destruction immune. This, that. You can't target it, blah, 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 blah. But the point is, at one point, you cannot get rid of it anymore. That's so unuseful, actually. Like, because it just not useful. Like, this can create an unbreakable board state, and what you then? If you have no counter, the card is functionally impossible to get rid of, and that makes the game unfun. That's
exactly.
That's one of the core conceits of card design.
I'm just gonna say this right now. One of my I love it. I actually really like Heroes. Like GX, I know it was terrible. I'm not gonna deny that. But
it was actually not that bad.
I loved it when I was a kid, and I like Heroes. But now they have so many absurdly, stupidly powerful cards that are so easy to get out and can go into so many other things that it's frustrating how stupidly broken a lot of the cards are, considering that you can get them out for basically no effort and then get more stuff from playing another powerful card. Like, for example, I'm trying to think of one. Malicious Bane. That card is terrible. You know what it does?
What does it?
Okay, so it has 3,000 attack points.
Okay.
It cannot be destroyed by battle.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot be destroyed by card. I'm going to look it up to make sure I get everything right. Man, I don't know what happened. Okay, maybe TCG player. Okay, Evil Hero Malicious Bane. So here's what it does. Here's what it is. $83. Holy crap. So here's what it does. It has 3,000 attack and defense, and its only materials are 1 evil hero and 1 level 5 or higher monster.
Okay.
Now, don't you think that sounds very easy to bring out?
That is very easy to bring out.
Especially considering Malicious is pretty much a staple, and there's also like adjusted gold and stuff like that.
You can get these out very easily. Just put an instant fusion or like get a mask change. It's not a big deal.
So yeah, really easy to do.
Yep.
Now, here is what it can do. Okay, it must be special summoned with Dark Fusion. I'll get to Dark Fusion in a little bit. Cannot be destroyed by battle with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to this card's. Also, this card gains 200 attack for each monster destroyed this way. Also, you cannot declare an attack for the rest of this turn except with hero monsters. That's completely pointless, because the only deck that's going to run Malicious Bane is a hero deck. So what's the point in saying that it can't be used by other decks? Or you can only attack with hero monsters when heroes are the only one using this card. And now here's what Dark Fusion is.
Wait for a moment. You know how to solve this nonsense?
What?
Just don't add at the end, you can only attack with hero monsters. Just, you cannot conduct the battle phase in the turn you use.
Yeah, that would be fine, but that's not how it works. Apparently, in order for a card to be any kind of good nowadays, it has to be a board nuke that's very easy to bring out and can let you kill your opponent in one turn. Otherwise, it's complete garbage. Now, let's take a look at... Okay, Dark Fusion's not here, but we're going to look at Dark Calling. Because this treats it the same way, and I see more people use this than Dark Fusion or whatever.
Yeah, because Dark Fusion wasn't that good.
Yeah, kind of. So here's what it does. Dark Calling. Banish from your hand or graveyard the fusion material monsters listed on a fusion monster card that can only be special summoned with Dark Fusion. So it's Dragon Mirror, but for evil heroes. What does Dark Fusion do again?
I think it takes
from your hand or side of the field of the grave. The special summon monster cannot be targeted by the opponent's spells, traps, or effects this turn. So I guess that's the trade-off. You can banish materials from your grave.
And it's very easy to get things into the grave.
Yeah. What's Fusion Destiny do again? I remember that being stupid.
Oof, don't remember.
Oh, that's just for Destiny heroes. No one plays Destiny heroes. But that's Malicious
They play
Bane.
Malicious, but that's all.
Yeah, like Malicious Bane was actually semi-limited now. I wish they would limit it because that would just be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be really hilarious.
But that's how easy to bring out Malicious Bane is. Keep in mind, it is a once per turn Raigeki with absolutely no penalty for using that effect. Oh, Doesn't that sound fair?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, oh great.
Exactly, and that's just, and then there's like so many other cards, especially since heroes have gotten such a ridiculous amount of support. You gain advantage from summoning this thing. Like, let's see, like, I don't know, like, I know they have cards that like gain effects if they're used for fusions or something like that. So it's an incredibly easy to bring out monster that just kind of sits there and nukes your opponent's monsters with no effort. It feels so anticlimactic.
You know what we need?
What?
You know what we need?
What?
We need an archetype about young androgynous heroes that collect belt counters. Nomura. Why not at this point?
All right. The thing is, you can't play with counters because counters are slow and terrible, and unless something it just destroys literally everything in a single turn with very little effort, it's not worth playing. That's what cards are like nowadays. That's seriously what cards feel like now. And then there's Sunriser. Sunriser is another boss monster. Oh, it's just Sunrise. I thought it was Sunriser for something. Also, he looks Spanish. I don't know why. Like, when I look at him, I just think he's a bullfighter. So, Elemental Hero Sunrise, $5. His materials are even easier. It's 2 heroes with different attributes. And again, there are heroes who gain effects when they're sent to the graveyard for fusion materials. So, you gain advantage from summoning it. And even then, when you summon it, you get a Miracle Fusion. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
You get Miracle Fusion, which lets you fuse cards in the grave, which means by fusion summoning a monster... Wait, what? When an attack is declared involving another hero you control, target 1 card on the field and destroy it. So it pops cards whenever your monster attacks. You get a Miracle Fusion for summoning it. It's very easy to bring out. It makes your monster's attack increase depending on how many elements you have. And this thing is so easy to bring on the field. How is this fair?
It's not. That's the point.
Exactly. But people seem to think it's totally fine because get good, you gotta get the best cards. It's tier 0. You gotta play in the meta. Scrub.
There's a good reason I compare Yu-Gi-Oh! To a hot nuclear war. Because it really feels like you're getting...
I just compare it to Mousetrap. And also, 1-card fusions shouldn't be as strong as Acid or Dark Law. Because, let's see. One-sided Macrocosmos and Harpy's Feather Duster. Does that sound fair?
Nope.
Exactly! And yet they're still just allowing it. How is that fair in any sense of the word? Like, if they were more restrictive, like, you could only do so and so, like, I don't know. But, like, one of the worst things is when they use Absolute Zero to summon acid off of Mask Change, because guess what Absolute Zero's effect is?
He is a stun card, if I remember correctly.
No. It says, if this card leaves the field, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. If it leaves the field, if you bounce it, Raigeki. If you destroy it, Raigeki. Spin it, Raigeki. If you use it for fusion materials, like with, I don't know, Mask Change, Raigeki. Which means if you summon acid off the back of Absolute Zero, guess what? You get a Raigeki and a Harpy's Feather Duster. Raigeki is limited, and as far as I remember, Harpy's Feather Duster is banned for years.
Yep.
That's what heroes are like now. It's just one absurdly powerful boss monster being summoned right off another one. That's not fair. That's not fun. And you know, another really terrible boss monster that I just want to rag on for a little bit because, oh my gosh. Honestly,
just breathe.
It's not like I'm irate or anything. It's just, okay. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
Oh God.
Is quite possibly one of the worst boss monsters designs I have ever seen. Because for how easy it is to bring out, it just does way too much. And just puts your opponent at so much of a disadvantage if you just get it onto the field that I'm honestly, how is this fair? How is this legal? But something like, I don't even know. But how is this a fair boss monster to have? Here's what it does. It's 3,500 attack, light dinosaur type monster, which is a really weird combination. It's also pretty much the only dinosaur type monster that's a decent boss monster. And to everyone who is still listening, first of all, I'm sorry that you've actually been listening this long. Second, I understand that to most people, UCT is a well-designed card that's very strong. The problem is it's too strong for how easy it is to get out, right?
That's the point.
Oh, there's a comment on TCG Player. Let's see what it says. Amazing and my favorite boss monster. Here's what UCT does. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Okay, that's fine. It's level 10. Must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 2 dinosaur-type monsters from your graveyard. That's incredibly easy to do. And also, there are dinosaur monsters that gain effects when they're banished. So you banish 2. Let's say you do 2 giant Rexes. You can instantly summon them back to the field and then use them to overlay something like Lagia or Dulka, the dragons that for whatever reason are rank 4s that require a dinosaur-type monster. It's weird. Once per turn, during either player's main phase, you can destroy 1 monster on your hand or field. Keep in mind, in a typical dinosaur deck, there are dinosaurs that gain decent effects when they're destroyed. So if you destroy something like Baby Sasaurus, you get another search and something like that. Are you following?
I'm following.
And if you do, change all face-up monsters your opponent controls to face-down defense position. So it's a Book of Eclipse with no downsides that you can gain advantage off of. But wait! There's more! This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each.
Oh boy.
You still there?
Let me guess. Cards in face-down defense position are automatically conducting the damage step.
Not exactly. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a defense position monster, not just face down, you can inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent and then send that defense position monster to the graveyard. Let's see. This monster can be special summoned by banishing monsters that are very easy to get in the graveyard, some of which have effects upon banishing, and then it can destroy a card during either player's turn in a type that can gain advantage off of destroying it. So, how? And then you don't even get to destroy monsters. You just send them, which means your opponent cannot get any kind of benefit from destruction. How is this fair? Can you hear me?
Hey, why not give it double piercing damage just while you're at it?
Okay. And guess what? There's this card called Double Evolution Pill. Banish one dinosaur monster and one non-dinosaur monster from your hand or grave. Special summon one level 7 or higher dinosaur from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So you can bring UCT out of the deck just like that. Now I seriously just have to ask, how is that even fair? This is why I say UCT is one of the worst boss monsters I've ever seen, simply because for what it does and how hard it is to deal with, since, it can flip monsters during either player's turn. How exactly is this supposed to be a fun challenge or anything interesting? You just bring it out and sit on it, and it destroys everything. And I get the point. Dinosaurs are big, stupid lizards that destroy everything, but I really just want to ask, how is UCT even remotely fair?
I don't know. I guess,
since it says it can be destroyed by battle and card effects, it's not broken. You can summon it from the deck with basically no effort. It's a mass Book of Moon, and it can immediately send and burn your blah. UCT is terrible just because it's way too powerful for how easy it is to get out, especially since you can get advantage off of using what should be costs. Like, isn't there reason to have costs that they're a detriment? Like, they're a drawback that you have to take into consideration when you play a card?
I mean, sometimes they can be designed and gain advantage from cost if you play cleverly. But it shouldn't be the rule, it should be the exception.
Yeah, this is not an exception. This is just... This is ridiculous.
The only good side about this is that the Extreme Dinosaurs theme is running through my head right about now.
What dinosaurs?
The Extreme Dinosaurs theme song of the TV show.
I know that.
It's like that's the only thing that I can think of. This is the Saurian Stump, the Velocitas.
You know what's weird? The boss monsters that I like using, I don't think they're as bad as these cards. Would you like to know what the boss monsters I'm talking about are, or have you completely dropped out? Because
I mean, I'm kind of dropping out right about now, but I'm guessing you want to talk about.
All right, I'm sorry. I really wanted.
It's not that I get this point. I get it. I really get it. But I feel like all of what you're doing seems like you have not a healthy card game.
Well, yeah, that's why we're talking about it.
And it's like, maybe you should take a break from it, because I can tell you when this new Predaplant card comes out, we are so much in bad water.
It's already out.
Oh god, it's already out.
You are talking about Verte Anaconda, right?
Oh yes. Oh god, you know what that means? Everybody will have a red eyes.
What, you mean Dragoon of Red Eyes?
Yeah, that thing.
I saw a bunch of people freaking out about it, but like, you can negate its summon. You can negate its effect.
Yeah, but nobody runs battle traps that do that.
I do. Then again, I play counter fairies, and they haven't worked out super well. But the main thing is, you have cards like Solemn Warning or Solemn Judgment. You have Solemn Strike. You have the Solemn cards, so you can use them. But like, the thing is, even in the context of like, I was seeing a lot of people freak out about Dragoon of Red Eyes, but I was just like, it seems pretty normal for a boss monster, you know, in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where it just does like 7 things and there's an easy way to get it on the field. But the boss monsters that I play, namely Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, and Nirvana High Paladin, they at least take some effort to pull off. And yeah, they have powerful effects, but they aren't completely impossible to get rid of. They're not overpowered, and I can just bring them out with literally no effort, like UCT or a lot of the hero cards.
Yeah, there should be something about that.
Because with Endymion, its pendulum effect is that I need 6 spell counters on the field, and then I can, if it's in my pendulum zone, I can remove those counters, summon him, pop cards on my opponent's or just on the field in general, equal to the number of cards on my field that I can put spell counters on, and then he gets a number of spell counters equal to the ones I've destroyed. With everything there is nowadays where, oh, it can't be destroyed by card effects, it can't be targeted by card effects, you gave me a benefit from destroying this card. That's not super terrible. That's not a super awful thing. And the thing is, it just has like one-time effect negation by bouncing a card to my hand, and it can't be destroyed by card effects while it has spell counters. So that's not super bad, right?
I mean, it's pretty good, actually. I think it's okay.
I know. It's not like being a mass Book of Moon that destroys defense position, not even destroys, just like erases defense position monsters and then burns for 1,000. Like, it's pretty fair.
I just wait for the card that says douse the deck of the enemy in alcohol and set it on fire. Because
that would be a lot better if we got Ignite support. They call it like
the kind of Ignite support I want to have.
The other one I have is Nirvana High Paladin. Now, Nirvana High Paladin is a level 10 Synchro Pendulum monster.
That contains the longest card text in the game, I know.
That is a bonkers thing. So, what's it do? What?
Please don't.
It's actually not that crazy.
It's Nirvana High Paladin. It has the longest word count in the whole game.
No, it doesn't. That's Cyber's Clock Dragon, another card that I use as a boss monster.
But still, it has the second largest then.
I don't think it has it. Whatever. Here's what it does. If I synchro summon it using a pendulum summon pendulum monster as a tuner, I get a card back from my grave. If it destroys a monster by battle, I have my opponent's life points after damage calculation. That's not super bad. That's not super overpowered. It's not like, oh, it can't be destroyed. It can't be destroyed. Can't be targeted. It's unaffected by all card effects. It's not like invincible. It's easy to get rid of. I mean, it has a really good effect, but it's not broken like a lot of these other stupidly hard, not stupidly hard, stupidly easy boss monsters. Like, they feel like boss monsters. You know, they're the things that you call out to get stuff done, and they do a cool thing, just like bam, 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 bam. But at the same time, at least they aren't completely ridiculous and make your opponent be put at a ridiculous disadvantage, right? Like, they're fair.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Would you like to say something? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. I think we should end it here before it ends.
Okay. I'm really sorry for how this segment turned out. But you know, just to like wrap things up, I think a good boss monster is something that's easy-ish to bring out, but isn't hard to get rid of, or hard to bring out and hard to get rid of with an appropriate effect, depending on what kind it is. Like, Like, you shouldn't be able to bring something out from the deck that can then destroy everything. Like, that's ridiculous. That's just wrong.
It also we also should make this clear. There should be a certain kind of now in the game that we cannot rely only on kaijus. That's really
no
the biggest
kaijus.
problem. It's like kaijus are
if you play a boss monster that
is
easy to bring out as UCT or malicious or something else like that, you are not allowed to run kaijus. That should be your rule. If you have a stupid broken boss monster, you can't play Ash Blossom, you can't play Droll and Lockbird, can't play Ghost Ogre, you can't play kaijus, can't play any of that. No. Stop it. Get some help.
I think it would be just better if there would be removal options for something like that. Like a card that actually tributes something from the enemy but replaces also.
I mean, there was Grinder Golem.
Yeah, but Grinder Golem doesn't really work anymore. Like,
I mean, it works actually really well. It's banned.
Yeah, that's the reason it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's a boss monster you like that you think is, decently designed and fair, as opposed to being something that you can just snap onto the field and win with very little effort?
No, I don't think of any good ones. Like I can't think of that. The few boss monsters I know are actually terrible lockdown cards.
Oh, come on. What are they?
Like the old strategy that you used for 6 samurais was summoning Great Shion and Legendary Samurai Yanshi, and suddenly the enemy couldn't play any spell or trap cards anymore.
I mean, that seems relatively fair because, I can think of a couple ways to swing over it at the very least.
I mean, it isn't very impossible. Actually, yeah, they're not very impossible.
Yeah, but those are good examples of boss monsters that add a fun challenge to the duel instead of just being auto wins.
I just realized I still know when the best moment in Yu-Gi-Oh was when Broniac, the Dragon of the Ice Barrier, was banned for the first time. I think at that moment the game achieved an equilibrium of fairness that you could never get anywhere else.
I have Brionic
5 years ago.
I have Brionic. It came in Dual Devastators. It's kind of ironic how both Trishula and Brionic are considered like really, really good cards, but Ice Barriers are kind of terrible.
That has been always a joke that they kind of made an archetype that doesn't really support the best cards in it. It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, at least, take a look at Gusto cards, for example. They do all the same things. They have 2 specific things they do. They either shuffle cards from the graveyard into the deck to give you an effect, or they summon something else on destruction or hitting the graveyard. That's the 2 things it does, and it does that very well.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Yeah.
But UCT, no. If you play UCT, know that I have a very intense hatred for you and your giant stupid electric lizard thing.
It's a light lizard, not an electric lizard.
It's called Ultimate Conductor. And it doesn't have a train whistle, so it's lightning.
Well, that's why we have Nibiru. To just
if I could always main deck 3 copies of any card, it would be Nibiru. Just because, no, I'm sick of your crap. Here's a big rock.
It's like that's the ultimate sentiment. It's like, nope, we're going to reset this thing. Like, it's time for an extinction level event.
It would be really funny to use it against the one kid at the locals who just plays dinosaurs, and he's why I have an intense hatred for UCT.
I mean, that's very thematically fitting. It's just that he probably can.
I straight up told him it would be very funny if I actually got Nibiru and I just wrecked your stuff.
But you have to understand, he probably can pull this damn dino out of his deck again and again and again.
Exactly. That's why it's not fair. Also, can you use Double Evolution Pill more than once per turn?
I think it has no once per turn clause, but I think it's limited. And getting spell cards.
Oh no, it says you can only activate one double evolution pill once per turn.
Okay.
So that's something.
Then, but even then, getting spell cards out of a graveyard is really hard.
Not with my monsters, because with Enlightenment Paladin, my level 8 synchro, it's just a normal synchro. It's a Flame Wingman with the effect that if I use Pendulum Magicians as material, I get a spell card from my grave. So that's cool.
Yeah.
But and that's why my boss monsters are fair and balanced, and why UCT, Malicious Bane, and all those other completely stupid broken cards can go burn in a fire that I create using my ignites.
But then they use just rekindling and everything goes again.
That only works on fire monsters.
I don't know. Anyway, I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I feel like this went off on a little bit of a tangent. I am sorry. I really needed to rant.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. You got anything to sorry. Yeah. We love Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wash your hands and stay at home.
Yeah, that's good advice to end on. Bye.
Bye.